those companies that they're opening today, statistically, their chance of dying is much higher than their chance of succeeding or thriving. How is that possible even?
How can a business can be called legacy except that this business does not perform anymore?
Why do I need legacy? Why do I need to care about this?
Thinking legacy does not mean you are going to be in the market forever. But if you also think legacy, it becomes like a recipe for success.
The whole complexity of AI, people losing jobs. People that I've listened to cannot really answer the questions what the future is going to look like.
AI is a very mind-boggling issue because it is a wonderful form of a human genius to discover these algorithms and make them work this way. But we have to be careful. AI cannot be moved from artificial intelligence to another form of AI, which I call authentic idiots.
The Emirate Dubai in particular, right?
Yeah.
That you discuss as a model of that future, right?
The concept of a legacy is highly precious for Dubai leadership. That's what legacy is all about, the power of transmission to the future. We need to last forever.
I want to go with that legacy mindset. What's my first step? Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of Master Vision Podcast, your business compass to a successful and meaningful future. A couple of months ago, I had this thought. I have a lot of friends that are opening their new companies. People in my network are opening new companies. And I had this upsetting a little bit thought that imagine that statistically, those companies that they're opening today, statistically, their chance of dying is much higher than their chance of succeeding or thriving. How is that possible even? But when we look at the statistics, the average lifespan of S&P 500 company today is 16 or 18 years. Compared to what it was in 1958, that was 61 years. Now, you might think, it's just the American corporate stuff. But what about startups? 90% of startups die in the first 10 years. Now, even Fortune 500 companies, those that were founded in 1955, only 10% of those companies exist today. Well, how is this possible that some companies can outlive market conditions, their founders, even some companies outlive different revolutions? I think there are different reasons, definitely. But one of them, what I strongly believe, is the word legacy. Now, I know that because of ChatGPT, we have a lot of writers now and copywriters in this world. And if you drive along the Sheikh Zayed Road, probably the word legacy is one of the most used words now after the luxury word. But if you ask people what really legacy means, most of them would say, it's something about past, something about heritage, eulogy, something to do with these family empires, dusty things. Now, in my world, legacy, I look at legacy as completely different. In my Master Vision framework, I look at legacy as a future state of your company, the impact that your company will have in the future. Even if you're not there, even if you sold it or, God forbid, something happened to you, what is that future state, that impact that you have? While I was developing this idea for my framework, I've met for a coffee with a good old friend of mine. And I shared this idea with him. And what a coincidence. He is writing his research paper on very similar topic, legacy, as a future-forward leadership framework. And I thought, wow, that would be amazing if I could have him as my guest on this podcast. And it would be great if we can discuss the idea of how this word legacy, what is the true meaning of that, and how we can use that framework that he's developing to our advantage and create a competitive advantages for our company. And then hopefully we will improve the statistic. So please, guys, welcome my great friends and my guest, Hani Soubra. Hani is a former BBC MENA director. He's a university lecturer. He is also a media and marketing consultant, and he is a published author. Hani, thank you so much.
I thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Nina.
I had to tell the whole story of how I came to that.
No, it was a great intro, I have to say.
I've realized recently I have longer and longer introduction to this podcast. Because that's probably year, me sitting and listening, and now my wish to talk.
No, definitely that coffee we had was definitely an eye-opener to a lot of topics. Definitely.
Yeah. Let me start with this thing. What is legacy for you? And how did you come up with the idea to turn that old thinking of traditional thinking and
well, basically it's part of my academic journey that I am on it now. So I'm studying for my doctorate, and you need to have always a nice compelling topic that is both provoking and innovative. Provoking because you need to start something new in a PhD research, and innovative, it has to be outstanding, especially at the times we live in. That's another overused word, as you were saying in the beginning. So I decided to take the topic of legacy and see how can that concept, which is, by the way, as we stand today in most business writings, it's wrongly attributed to companies that, as you rightly said, fall in the history or the archive of businesses. But I ask you this, so how can a business can be called legacy except that this business does not perform anymore? So where is the legacy element?
Yeah, where is the legacy?
So the legacy element is that it was good for a while and then it failed, like BlackBerry, for example. Or the legacy element is like Toys R Us. They made money at some stage, opened giant shops, but now they are limited to tiny corners in the USA in certain malls and outlets. So a legacy cannot possibly be attributed to a fading business. It has to be attributed to a company that can transmit its values in the future to stay in perpetuity. And that's what legacy. So legacy becomes the power to transmit a very successful value or model to the future to consistently gain competitive advantage. Even semiotically, i.e. vocabulary-wise, legacy is not anymore something you have done in the past. It's the power of transmission to the future. That's how you become a legacy. You don't become a legacy if you have done something good in the past. Ford, they have manufactured automobiles, but I don't think they are a legacy. Legacy if you continue with that greatness that you have started with. And that is the challenge for businesses, as you rightly mentioned. 16 to 18 years shelf life. That's very, very short. So how can a business prolong its lifeline, its existence? Now, what I'm researching is something that I call the Think Legacy Framework, by which it comprises a lot of elements and components that, if followed, and hopefully if correct, then the company can able to stand the test of time. In business, it's called future proofing, i.e. you can absorb the shocks that the future brings, and you can easily convert that pressure into mechanical energy through that framework in order to keep going on from strengths to strengths.
So let's, if we can talk about your example of BlackBerry. Yeah. So the company, does it exist now?
No, it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. In which condition we would have called it legacy company?
If they managed to see what Steve Jobs have seen. Because what BlackBerry have done, they have created a massive revolution in the telecom field. And they have created this device, which was wonderful. At some stage, 50% of portable handphones were BlackBerry, 50%. Now they stopped at a certain achievement level on a curve by which they stopped seeing any more innovations. And that's what Steve Jobs did right. He did that in phones. He did that in music, by the way. I'll tell you more in music in a bit. But what if you want to label BlackBerry as a company, it was a profitable company at some stage. Period. That's all what it was.
Profitable company
at some stage.
Yeah.
Finished.
Yeah.
And then it finished.
Yeah.
But we know there are a lot of companies that fall in this domain. Some fail due to pure failure in leadership. Other fail due to poor innovation. Third fail because of poor product development, so on and so forth. But in the particular example of BlackBerry, they failed simply because they couldn't see what Steve Jobs was saying. As a matter of fact, and if anybody have seen the movie, it's a wonderful movie, highly recommended, or read the book. they were all attending Steve Jobs' forums when he was launching his iPhone and its features. But they were stubborn. They said, this can't happen. And we all know what happened next.
I had an interview with a gentleman yesterday. He's my client. He has a brand of 200 years. 200 years old British brand. But the interesting thing is he bought it when the company was, they had some internal tension, and he bought the brand, and it's not even he revived it. So the power of this, the operations of the company was struggling. The leadership was in conflict, but the brand was 200, that time it was not 200, 108 years old, and it was there. And he didn't even need to revive it. He just took it, and now he's creating something new out of it, using that whole heritage to build the innovation in this part of the world. And that could only be done through what? Through bigger philosophy? Or what would...
I mean, definitely capitalizing on the brand presence historically can help, but it's not sufficient, because you've got a lot of historical brands that doesn't mean anything to Gen Z, to Gen Y, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. But in the context of historical brands, to me, Guinness is a wonderful success story. It's a wonderful success story. They have ticked every single box: marketing, innovation, product development, you name it. That's why they are the most successful beer in the world, or one of them at least.
So how, if you could give us a little bit more details about Guinness, how long?
Well, as a product, it has been around for more than 100 years. And they've started in a brewery, if I'm not mistaken, in Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. And then slowly started expanding to the wider UK and then globally. What they have done right is that they have kept their original recipes, but what they have done even more correct is that they have diversified into many sizes and shape of beer. Now, I have to say that I'm not a beer expert, but from my reading, Guinness is always being quoted as a success story, because they have managed to innovate their product, yet kept all of their standards and the great taste and the great market leadership for tens and tens of years.
Now, I think I've mentioned to you when we had a coffee that one of my first book, so I haven't published a single book yet, right? Okay. But I have a list of them that I'm right. I have a list of books that I'm reading, and I have 2 books that I'm writing. So my first book that I was really focused on was all about legacy, the way you and I understand it. And then when I started testing the idea or the name of it that had the word legacy in it, the reaction from the market, especially new generation, new type of entrepreneurs, was like, legacy, we want to exit. So they want to exit, they want to sell, they want to exit, they want to scale to exit.
Yep.
Yeah, really, it feels like the ambitions today is to create a unicorn and exit. Then why do they? And the reaction was, why do I need legacy? Like, why do I need to care about this?
You see, as a framework, even if you want to sell your business in 7, 10, 15 years, if you operate as a legacy format, then you are increasing your chances of maximizing the value of your business. Because under the legacy concept, it's all about product innovation, great leadership, great brand reputation. But that's what companies need to maximize their value. So thinking legacy does not mean you are going to be in the market forever. You can be in the market forever. But if you also think legacy, it becomes like a recipe for success, increased value, and consequently better worth of your company appreciation. So when somebody hears the word legacy, they think that we are not going to close the company forever. But that's not right, because if you think legacy, it's like saying have vitamins. That is to have good health. That doesn't mean that we're not going to perish. We are, but while we are alive, we want to have a great life. Same thing. While a company is alive, it has to be a great company, and that's the idea of a legacy framework. Now, bear in mind that Good to Great, In Search of Excellence, these are all wonderful books by great authors like Tom Peters. But things have developed. Previously, the concept of innovations, for example, was not high until the 90s, which is pre-internet basically. But post-90s, everything is about innovations. Another important angle of legacy is learning. See, certain CEOs, specifically CEOs, because I focus on leadership a lot, they might have forgotten how important it is to keep on learning, not in their individual capacity, but as a company. You have to keep on learning. I would like to quote Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. In an interview, he said to Fast Company magazine that we need to move from the know-it-all organization, and that's the highest, the richest company in the world, yeah? We need to move from a know-it-all organization to a learn-it-all organization. What does that mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
It means that you need to keep on developing your skills, hard and soft. Soft is leadership, recruitment, performance management, so on and so forth. Hard is what you are giving to the market, software development, so on and so forth. In conclusion, it's not the same anymore. Now, 50 years ago, none of this thinking was available. The same cars were produced by corporations. The same shoes were produced by corporations. So the thinking of innovations meant there are a massive flow of trends that you have to follow. And that these trends, thanks to data science, has been segregated to many components. Before it was 4 or 5. Remember what Henry Ford used to say, my customers can buy any car they want as long as it is black. So that's the choice that they had. But now, all what you have is choice, and endless choice. To keep satisfying and fulfilling these choices, you need to have a consistent flow of product innovation.
I want to bring this a little bit of a provocation to this discussion. So we discussed it before that one of the important components of a true legacy company is culture, right? Yeah. So when you build a really good culture where people excel also, not just your pockets. Let's take, maybe we don't need to mention the big companies, but everyone knows all those IT giants, yeah? And one of my family members used to spend a lot of his professional life in one of those IT giants. When he joined, it was, we're family, big company, we're family, it's this kind of your pride. To join them is the pride. To be part of them is pride. They pay for your MBAs and really. And then so he spent there almost 2 decades. But the first 10 decades and then the last 5 years is a huge difference. They realize this kind of a component that is not really culture, is serving the shareholders. They are legacies, right? They say they have this kind of purpose. Even your example with Microsoft, they do say, they have this purpose, they innovate.
Yeah.
What do they do to their people?
But that's one element, innovations, yeah? Mm-hmm. Another exceptionally fundamental element is what you rightly said, which is culture. I'll never ever understand why is it that big IT firms, when they have a balance sheet that's estimated at billions and billions of dollars, and just because it was lesser than last quarter or last year, they sent 10,000 people home, or 8,000, or 5,000, or whatever. You see, that's the thinking that they have to change. Because in a Think Legacy framework, you cannot possibly be serving only your shareholders. You can't, because your shareholders are also people. You need to serve the stakeholders. The stakeholders is everything that's around you. And that includes, first and foremost, your staff, because they make you great. Second, the environment. So if you operate a company that contributes to carbon dioxide 10 times more than your footprint, please tell me, how are you a legacy company? Third, you have to cater to the community. We are all healthy, if we are healthy, because we are part of healthy communities. So this 996 model that prevails, I hold it with great contempt, because we are human beings. We have the right to work, live, play, see our kids, be with our families, and be lazy on our weekends. 996 is 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. But that's an indirect form of modern slavery. All what you need is the chains, really. That's not legacy. That's abuse. And I genuinely hope that we reach a stage in governance where governments, I hope that companies have the enough maturity to do that. But if they don't, I hope that governments will force them, because people's lives and health is more important than satisfying their shareholders. So the moment a company moves from shareholders to stakeholder satisfaction, to me, that's a company that qualifies as a legacy.
Let's explain the difference.
Shareholders
Yeah.
are people who bought shares on the
Yeah.
market in order to fund your business.
Yeah.
Stakeholders are people that influence or orbit your ecosystem as a company.
Yeah.
I break them down into four parts: staff, environment, community, and the extended families of your staff.
So if we take two business owners, one is focused on the satisfying shareholders, including himself or herself, and the other one is stakeholders driven. Yeah. The main thing is to satisfy them. Now, which one would be, you know?
Definitely, it will not be the person running the company to only prove to the shareholders that our balance sheet is good. I'm not undermining the importance of financial metrics.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. But I'm giving examples of people who make money, who make billions and billions of money. Still they downsize. Still they send people home and impact their entire life. When you remove a family from work, you have deprived them from income. You have deprived their kids from proper schooling, maybe medical insurance. If a parent is dependent, that's gone. So on and so forth. So you can't do this to people just because you think as a CEO that my shareholders at my giant IT company or any other sector will be happier. I show them that, look, I'm cutting costs. You want to cut costs? Take it from your own bonus. Yeah. That will make you a great leader.
The bonuses.
Yeah, these people bonuses are in the tens of millions. This is not a call for socialism. This is a call for humanity. So legacy, you really are serving a multi-purpose objective, and people get more respect and love for you if you do this. And that's how brand reputation grows. And nobody works with brand that they dislike and disrespect. Nobody.
So let's bring another layer of complexity to our discussion.
Go for it.
AI. So I've been listening for the last 2 weeks and scaring myself with AI, and then I changed my mind. That's it. If no one knows what the future is, then why would we even?
Yeah.
Because really not anyone. I mean, people that I've listened to cannot really answer the questions what the future is going to look like. But hypothetically, what do you think if we have this company serving stakeholders, this one shareholders, or the other way I was showing on this table, right? The whole complexity of AI, people losing jobs, most probably, we cannot say. How then that's going to work?
Look, to me, AI is a very mind-boggling issue because it is a wonderful form of a human genius to discover this algorithm and make them work this way. But we have to be careful because we are also our self-made enemies. So AI cannot be moved from artificial intelligence to another form of AI, which I call authentic idiots. We cannot move as intelligent creatures to authentic idiots. Why is that? Students use AI. So how are they thinking? How are they imagining? How are they creating? Every single person at work, sometimes myself included, I use AI. Wonderful. Companies that want to shut down or reduce staff and workforce, they say use AI. But where's the ethical part of it? Just because you have invented something doesn't mean that you're going to cause so much harm. And I read somewhere that there are certain people who refuse to use AI for environmental reasons. Because every Google search takes, on a scale, energy 1 to 10, 1. Every AI search takes 9. So it's not really that enjoyable to have a great invention if it's not properly used. Now, how do we use AI properly? I think we can use it if you are into the medical field, for example, if you're an economist and you're a statistician, so on and so forth. But if now there are authors using AI to write books, but where is the human flair?
Yeah, where is the
human? Where is the Da Vinci in us? Where is the Shakespeare in us? If you allow a software comprised of hundreds of algorithms to fetch random information from the web, and you call yourself an author, if an AI wrote a book for you. So my views on AI, to be honest, are disturbing because they have the tendency to do good things, but they do have the tendency also to turn us into mediocre species.
So then if we bring that back to the shareholders versus stakeholders oriented company, focused company, in that AI thing, which one will succeed more?
Unfortunately, it will be in the shareholder arena.
Oh wow, that's very
Unfortunately, because
not possible.
yeah, because where we are now,
Yeah.
it's all about cutting costs, reducing margins. The moment you move your mind from this mentality to a perpetual to staying in perpetuity in the business world is where you move to the legacy. So if it's on a scale, you have legacy here, and you've got profit bottom lines here. If you are here, you are going to do all the wrong things to deliver the right things, but on the spot. If you are here, you are going to do slightly extraordinary things, but you are going to last longer than that part of the axis. That's how I look at it.
And from my experience, if I could add there, my understanding that AI is going to bring also with a lot of changes in the workforce, is going to bring us a lot of people losing their, I don't know, purpose, or a lot of
course.
Unhappy people. Now, when you're on this side and your company is serving shareholders and has a bigger idea and bigger purpose beyond just financial, you as the owner has a bigger purpose in life.
100%.
Right? So even if you need to, unfortunately, I don't know, lose some people in your company or lose your product, but the idea is there and you believe in it, right?
Definitely.
That beyond your product, beyond you this. And then you have a chance even for mental health, better mental health, rather than...
Definitely. No, Nina, sense of purpose. Imagine the stakeholder composition of a country, any country. You have got the government, number one. What do you think is the second most important component in any country? It's the business sector. They influence everything, 1 and 2. So all businesses carry this amazing strength to actually make change, to actually make the world a better place, specifically on the environment. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to take this conversation to another level. We live in a time where world leaders don't care about the environment, and the biggest proof is the floods and the hurricanes and the extensive rains we are seeing. But businesses have the potential to enforce change on community and perhaps on governments as well. But all what it takes is for the leaders to take the leap from that end towards the other end. That other end, I call it legacy. And that's what my research is all about.
And I think that, so if I were to a little bit summarize now, so legacy is something that you can be very financially successfve,
100%.
right? We're not talking about
it's not an NGO.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have more chances probably to even outlive difficult
Definitely.
times. You have a better culture, right? And you have a better mental health, most probably, right? And I think it's in your research, right? There is a country that you use as a framework that we live in, yeah? Or the Emirate, Dubai in particular, right?
Yeah.
That you discuss as a model of that future, right? So, because people are super, and we've been here at the beginning of that journey. Yeah. We came here when you had to pay millions to people to come here. Remember, to headhunt from around the world. And I don't know, I didn't get the millions to come. I was brought by my parents. I don't know about you, but so you use Dubai as a framework, as a proof on the ground that thinking is there and you can be successful. So tell us a little bit.
Definitely, the concept of a legacy is highly precious for Dubai leadership for one simple reason, because they need to diversify from the oil and gas economy.
Yeah.
That's going to finish sooner or later. And the estimates are 45 years, which is nothing in the history of mankind. So how do we do it? So we need to last forever. We need to last in the future. That's why they started launching these mega companies, DP World, Emirates Airlines, AMR, so on and so forth. Now that thinking, what I'm focusing on, that thinking is a legacy thinking that you want to last, but in the future.
Yeah.
That's what legacy is all about, the power of transmission to the future. That's how we started this conversation.
Yeah.
So I think nobody than Dubai exemplified this thinking. But because Dubai is a unique model where all the forces, and be it economy, be it business, be it politics, are more or less centralized, they can do this. And that's what makes them unique in a way. But away from the private public partnership. Let me take you to global models. because nobody listening to this podcast should think that this is an unapplicable idea. If you look at companies like Patagonia, they took all the boxes of legacy.
Yeah.
All of them. Innovation, product, leadership, HR, environmental consciousness, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Ben & Jerry ice cream. We talked about Guinness. And there are very nice examples here and there. For example, the founder of Corona beer, when he got rich and he retired, the village is called Corona, actually. It's in Spain. He distributed his wealth to all his friends in his village. These are wonderful examples. Last time when we were talking, I told you how Emirates Airlines, after they have recovered from Corona, they paid 18 and 16 and 15 months to their staff. That's the legacy manner. When companies go out of their way, their boring bottom line way to do good to their staff, to their people.
I just had a thought now. Legacy doesn't mean for you as a business owner, doesn't need to be only that particular company staying forever, right?
No, absolutely not.
It could be a wealth that you go through that company.
It's more value related, by the way, than person. Absolutely.
Yeah, and make it maybe, yes, then even wealth that could be even multiplied through other people's happiness.
The person can be the least relevant. The value is the most relevant. When Jeff Bezos announced that he wants to go to the moon, 200,000 people signed the petition, don't come back. That's how much they dislike him.
It's so sad.
I know, and most of them, they work for him.
I hope he didn't check the names.
No, but the idea is that it's not about the person, because you are liked or disliked according to the goodness that you do, not according to the wealth that you possess. If it's about the wealth, then Elon Musk would be the most loved man in the world, and he is not. We all know that.
Now he's going through some tough times.
So it's not about wealth. It's about the amount of good that you do that can translate to wealth that you can transmit to the future. That's what legacy do for you.
I like in our conversation, like you said, what's the point of being the richest man in the cemetery?
Absolutely. How fun is that?
I think in gypsies tradition is cool, no? They put all the gold there.
The pharaonic schools.
Yeah, they built the whole grave. I mean, we're not making fun of gypsies, but I think in their part.
That's not the point.
Yeah, very interesting. But I'm worried now that we sound a little bit like you said, socialism.
No, we're not. On the contrary, we are telling the private businesses, how do you protect yourself in the future? A socialist model is when you invite government and you invite other regulations. On the contrary, it's a free market, competition, capitalistic system that we all like. But the idea is this. It's a business code. How do we encourage businesses to expand that shelf life that you started this conversation with?
Yeah.
So multiple theories exist. Legacy framework is one of them.
Yeah. And I think in this part of the world also, there's a lot of, as a part of the culture, is giving back, right? So I think the local traditional companies, a lot of money they put back into the communities, right? Now, what do you think now you deal a lot with the very traditional companies here,
yes,
right? I'm not talking about the governmental level, because I think governmental is one of the most innovative here. I mean, it's incredible. We learn from government here,
ahead.
Right?
Absolutely.
So for us as business owners, we try to understand the agenda of the government, see what they're doing, so we can take the best and implement in our businesses. Very unique, I think. But there are still companies that are very traditional, very hierarchical.
Very hierarchical. You're absolutely correct. Correct. They're very happy with what they have achieved and stayed there.
Yeah.
And stayed there. They're very happy with that. And to some extent, that might be fun or admirable in a way. But we're talking businesses shutting down or lasting for 16, 18 years. We're talking about macroeconomic conditions that hit us without even seeing them. Corona, Red Sea disruptions, wars, so on and so forth. And finally, we are talking about a new philosophy in business management, that companies are here to stay forever. You don't open a company to shut down in 50 years or 20 years. Nobody does that. And even if you want to open a company to maximize its value, to sell it in the next 10, 15 years, like OpenAI did, you need to have a legacy framework. Now, what was the legacy component of OpenAI? It was wonderful innovations.
Yeah.
6 years, Alan Altman, or even 7 years. All what he was doing, he was experimenting with algorithms until he got what he wanted. And
Yeah.
Microsoft paid him $69 billion. That's not a bad deal.
I don't know even what would I do with 69. But that's another headache. That's another the episode. I think what we're mentioning, like Patagonia and Ben & Jerry's and so on, and Microsoft, I think these are quite big companies already, not medium sized to large, right? Now, what about the companies? I don't know, 10 people, 2 people companies, how that thing works for them?
Well, as a framework, it helps in the initial stages to set up the compass of the company.
Yeah.
That this is what we are going to do. And we are not going to veer away from it just to cut cost or do what other businesses do, start creating excuses, so on and so forth. So if I was a startup, I would definitely chart a course for myself. I'm going to be kind to my staff. I want to expand on that in a bit later because I don't want people to think that I'm a tree hugger and that's it, because I'm not.
I'm a tree hugger.
Same here, but in a business,
forest bather.
No. But in a business, we need to be exceptionally kind to our people, but we also need to have ring fence of KPIs. We understand that. So you have to be kind to your people. You have to be excellent in your leadership, ability to see the changes that will impact your business and take decisions. You have to be innovative, and you have to think even of that petrol consumption of people coming to work. Do they really need to come to work and pollute the environment, or maybe they can just stay home? So if you're able to think of all of that, chart the course, mention them in your annual report, put them on your website, that's the road to greatness. That's the road to longevity. That's how you gain brand respect and reputation.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's a great, even if you can't activate everything and your impact is just one person, culture and kindness, it's a great story, right? And if you have a great story and people love stories, and it's a real story, we're talking about authentic story, then you also grab an attention, right?
Definitely.
So if there's 100 people of the same thing, and believe me, now today, I think in Dubai or in the UAE, everything is here. It's, I think, one of the highest competitive market now in the world. So there's everything available. You have your authentic, beautiful story, and that already makes you different.
That makes you unique.
Unique, yeah.
And that's what makes people talk about you, and that's how you gain value. Companies value, if you are in the stock market, it's by the value of your shares. But if you are not, it's the word of mouth. It's what people say about you.
Absolutely.
A great place to work, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But on the importance of being kind to people, this is not because Hani and Nina think this way. It's because it's proven that the more comfort you give to staff, the more output they give back to you. Google have started it, and they did a wonderful job by creating resting areas, by creating creche for the women with their children, by creating specific times for new parents, so on and so forth. So they thought, what makes our staff comfortable so that our staff can work for us in a more efficient way. So Google did some wonderful things in the beginning. Now, I don't know where they are now because...
I don't know, but I can
because
guess.
that's a longer conversation.
Yeah.
But the idea is being kind to your staff requires a lot of intelligence and leadership. Some people, and I have great contempt for those people who think that, no, you have to be tough on your people. You're tough on your people because you lack in maturity, you lack in personality, and most importantly, you lack in confidence. You're always afraid of the smart people. That's why you try to bash them. That's a culture I totally abhor, to be honest. But being kind is not a simplistic thing. It takes a lot of intelligence to be kind to people in order to motivate them and get the best out of them while maintaining their mental health. And why not? Why not? We don't own people just because we pay them a salary. We don't. Yeah. They have the right to go back to their homes after a time. And if you treat them properly, they would say, you know what, I'm going to stay after 5 or after 6 because I have a lot of work to be done. That to me is the peak of success in management. When people start volunteering their time to serve you as a CEO.
Yeah. And I think when we started one of the companies, and I was just, while we were thinking, it's going to be celebrating 16 years here. And my question is, will we survive?
For the 17th.
Of course we will.
Of course you shall.
Yeah, of course we will.
You will.
But when we started, 15 years ago, we're going around with the idea of brands with purpose and how important purpose is. It's like, oh, what purpose? What? But now, 15 years later, it's such
Well
a
done.
pleasure to see companies, for example, like the Giving Movement company, yeah, where I don't know what's their story behind. I've heard different things, but I have to admit, it's has a great story.
Absolutely.
It has a great success, right? So now it is really the movement that they've created. People are wearing the pieces to show how good they are
Absolutely.
and now how modern. And they also expanded it from the Dubai, from the UAE to now other countries.
That's very
Yeah,
true.
and they put it in the big letters. What's the whole purpose of them? I think it's beautiful.
It is. It's a great case study, by the way. It's a
Yeah.
great case study.
Yeah.
But the second part of my answer to the
Yeah.
startup conversation is to make use of the power of data.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, any startup has a wealth of information. When I was working, that was a long time ago when I started work, our reference point was the Encyclopedia Britannica, and that was it. Now, any person who joins the job market, there are miles and miles of data to go through. So for a startup, they need to examine really the landscape, perform all the necessary
Yeah.
traditional marketing analysis in order to understand where do they go from here. And I want to give you a small example, which we will all probably like, which is Fix, the Dubai chocolate that originated from here. And the insanity that happens. The founder, well done. She got 5 minutes on CNN to talk about her products. But if I take that example, and then I hear that Lindt and Ulker are now doing Kanafi and pistachio and chocolate milk, protecting your competitive advantage has failed. That's my conclusion as a business veteran, because now everybody's doing it.
Yeah,
now everybody does Dubai chocolate, correct?
Yeah.
So I
but
think
everybody knows Dubai chocolate, but not particularly where it originated. That Fix originated.
Precisely.
That's the issue with that.
But Fix started this.
But I
Fix
don't know if I
this.
know.
And I think the owner, I saw one interview. I think she's Egyptian English, if I'm not mistaken. She did a wonderful job. I have to salute her. Wonderful job. But the fact that everybody is doing it now, it means that the competitive advantage was not protected. And that's the conversation I was leading to. You need to be exceptionally not only data savvy, imagination savvy as a startup to see how you can protect your leadership position in order to transform it into bigger and grander things in the future.
And be very clear also in terms of the market changes, right? The direction you want to take. I was working a couple of years ago, working on the Oxford Executive Strategy, taking the program of Oxford Executive Strategy. And it was an interesting thing. They do these plausible scenarios where you just imagine something that is almost impossible that could happen to your company. Different scenarios. And then you analyze it and then go back to today.
Yeah.
The scary part of it, it was before AI became so big and viral. So I did something about AI and I wrote this scenario and I thought it will never happen. Now I read that scenario, it's today thing. It's really one more year and it's going to be that. Yeah. It's quite, but what I wanted to say is exactly what they were saying. Come up with idea, dream about it, think about it, right? Have a purpose, but then also have a strong business case. Definitely. So if we were to have a strong business case, understand your market, understand your purpose, love your people, create a great culture. Now, if you were to create a scorecard for legacy, what do you think? How could we measure the legacy in our company?
Number one, it will be leadership. It will be leadership. And leadership can be measured by amount of bright ideas, staff retention, community work, innovation in products, so on and so forth. So to me, on that scorecard, number one will be leadership. Number two will be the brand reputation and brand equity. What do people say? And there are so many tools out there, social media listening, so on and so forth. It's so important, Nina. Nobody, even if you purchase a product from a company, there is a difference between purchase a product and doing business. Nobody wants to do business with a company they don't respect. Nobody. You might purchase a product once or twice, but to do business, to start wearing that shoes or jeans or use that racket or drive that car, you need to really love and respect that brand. So I would say leadership, brand reputation and equity, innovation. And I always go back to the power of people, the power of staff. These are the most important asset in any company. You look after them, they look after you. Just like biology. You look after your body organs, they look after you. It's that simple.
Yeah. Talking about the reputation, your reputation, the respect, I think it's especially important in this part of the world, because I saw a lot of deals didn't work out because of the reputation issues, right? One wrong move, and especially the Arabs, the locals, they're ready to walk away.
Yep.
Yeah, complete. One wrong email written by ChatGPT.
Precisely.
One wrong word, and they're ready to. And for that, because their reputation, right? Their reputation, their ego, or reputation, I would say, rather than ego, but that also plays a bit of a role, is much more important than just the financial gains.
No, it's the simple natural law of association. So you want to be associated with something that resonates well, sounds good, irrespective. So this is a huge component of the legacy framework that I'm working on.
Excellent. Now, if I were to start, okay, that's it. I've decided I have a small company. I want to go with that legacy mindset. What's my first step?
I would definitely say get your priorities right.
Okay.
So your priorities are naturally, you have to make money in order to survive.
Yeah.
And you have to chart a path. How am I going to make that money? For that purpose, you need all the natural alphabet of the components of product, people, so on, so forth. Number two, how do I make my company's reputation stellar, i.e. untouchable? Nobody can say a single bad word. Number three, how can I secure a consistent product flow to the market by which people can, like we're talking about Guinness, so many products, so many flavors, so many sizes. And number four, how do I appear to the people as not just an ordinary company, but an extraordinary company that actually cares about the wider community that I'm in. So I move from the typical financial bottom line, and I move to the stakeholder position that we started this conversation.
So what's the legacy you're building?
In my
life?
No, my life is very simple. I have simplified my life to the basic components. And if I depart this universe being perceived as a good human, that's more than enough for me.
You are a good human, but don't depart this universe. Don't depart this universe, please.
No, I hope so. That's all I want to achieve, nothing else.
I love this conversation.
Pleasure
really.
is mine.
The last question. If you were to ask one superpower, what would that superpower be? What would you ask for?
I would ask for health.
Health?
Absolutely. Because without that, I'm worthless. Not to mention a liability to others, a feeling I cannot stand.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
Pleasure
hope
is mine.
God gives you this power.
Same to you. Same to all our loved ones here as well. Thank you, Nina.
So much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good. I think it was great.
Thank you.
It started from good to great.
Indeed.
No, I loved it.
Thank you
I loved
much.
it. Thank you so much also. Thank you.